everyone. Going over the culture assignment and the PowerPoint that I gave you to do with culture. So this was the second week. So that's just sort of stuff about teaching using TOS and what I expect for homework, and results from the VARC survey, and the results from the Kolb survey. And who is David Kolb? 1984. He introduced a learning style model, works on two axes or two continuums, processing one and a perceiving one. And looking at that, it shows you that you have the feeling, then you have the sort of reflecting, then you have incorporating it, and then you do the experimenting, see if it works process. So the concrete experience is the feeling, reflecting, observing, and that's incorporating it or trying to, and then actually doing the incorporating. So it shows us what kind of person we are, if we like this sort of feeling it, or we like to reflect, or we like to try new stuff and incorporate it, or this is successfully putting all in together and then learning from that and then moving on, doing the next feeling experimenting stage. So Kolb's cycle includes CE learners, RO learners, AC learners, and AE learners. So AE learners like the doing, CE like the feeling, RO like watching, and AC like thinking. And I've got it all written there. We did a survey in class, and if you've got more ticks here, then you're an AC person. As you can see here, AC person is this one, so a thinking person. And if you get more of them here, AE, then you're more of an active person. So the doing person, AE. And if you're more of a CE down here, CE person, so this one is the feeling person. And if you're more here, RO, that's reflecting, observing person, so RO, so you're more of that one, that type of person. So you can see what kind of person you are. So this person takes more risks. This person wants to sit and reflect more, diverging person. Converging is a bit more sort of feeling, touchy-feely person. This person is able to analyse and put it all together, more of a scientific person. Okay, so we're all different. So this can help us learn how we learn and how to get the most out of our teaching. So we did the survey. Results was that we're more a bit scientific in our cohort of TESOL students. So we're more of this one, assimilators. So you can see scientific here. Okay, so you can watch that video. You can see actually assimilating people are here, converging people are here. So there's more of those two type of people. Assimilator and converging, you can see more of those people. So just extra stuff that I did, a YouTube channel about it. Kolb 1984 question for everyone. Another question was social environment, education experiences, basic cognitive structure of individual means what will establish what kind of person we are. It's looking at those things. And we have the processing and the perception continuum. So processing is the up-down one because it's a feeling, thinking, and then going across is the perception, so doing and watching. So when you perceive, you watch. Well, it's a bit confusing. So processing up, down, so it's north, south, and perception is that one, as you can see looking here. So we have the two continuums. Yes, there it is there. Okay, I had another question. Yes, Kolb's learning stages could be used to help teachers to critically evaluate the learning provisions typically available to students and to develop, as we TO, develop more appropriate learning. And then we had a little quiz where you got to match them. That's the Quizlet site that I made. So then we had about who else inspired Kolb to do this, because he did this in 1984. So these guys before him, preceded him, had other ideas on how we learn. So for example, John Dewey, He was around a long time ago, 59 to 1952. He said that we're like a mind, a bucket open up and we put information in. William James says that we need to experience, like we need to actually use the pair of scissors to understand. And he also found out that different parts of the brain operate differently. Hearing, speaking, seeing the words and thinking about the words is in the front. Okay. So anyway, useful, we say yes. Kolb's learning, experiential learning cyclical diagram will help us to improve our own learning as well. Next is about culture, which is going on from last week. So culture, IPA written at that. It's an umbrella term meant to encompass everything that we believe and we feel a connection to in the way of arts, law, customs, capabilities, habits. And there's Teach This site, which have different cultural flashcards as well. If you have a lot of Arab people in your class, maybe download this. If you have Buddhist people or Hindi people. Okay, so multicultural country, yes. We do have some racism though. The black people in Melbourne are stigmatised. They're not happy about that, which is not a good thing to say. Black people cause problems, but it is said, and we need to be mindful as an ESL teacher, we can't say such things. Okay, we have a law here in Australia. It's called the Equal Opportunity Act. And actually in Victoria, we have as a school a duty of care to make sure we are not discriminating. Otherwise, we can be taken to court. Okay, so basically what ESL is all about in the way of multiculturalism, introducing about Aborigines too, if you're teaching English in Australia, and they didn't actually have the right to vote to 1965. We had assimilation, which meant forced into our white way of life. That was the stolen generation. We had integration after World War II. We had lots of people from Europe come, and then we had multiculturalism, which is still around now. So as I said, so 1 in 5 are born overseas in Australia, and that's going up, I think. So we have AMEP, which means 510 hours of free English lessons, and then you have another 300 for employment support for refugees or spouse visa or sponsored visa people. If you come to Australia and you become Australian, things that will determine your Australianness are these things. Okay, and revision from last week about the language or paralinguistic kinesics, we remember, is the expressions that we have, the gestures. And Edward Sapir, he said, well, teach him your language. Speaking a language means that a person is assuming a culture. So basically, you can't have one without the other. If you really want to know a culture, you need to know the language. And if you really want to know the language, you should know their culture. And this is basically Western culture. It's taken actually from European Western culture, but pretty much the same here in Australia. So you can see the furthest is the Somalians. So that's why there might be some racism in Melbourne, because they're further from our perceived culture. And of course, if you do speak a dialect, you're still part of the same culture. If you have different accent, so if it's a different language, you're a different culture. Animals don't have culture because they don't have language. And industrialized countries have a faster developing culture because of technology. And back to talking about Victoria, we are the most multiculturally diverse. The orange is 2011, this is 2009, I think it is, or maybe, I don't know. But anyway, something like that. Australian English comes from English, which came back, you can see its roots were Germanic. Okay, and we have different accents. So for example, broad accent, for the word fleece, we say fleece, or goose is goose, face is face, goat is goat, price is price, mouth is mouth, I think. Okay, so, and we don't pronounce the R so much. So, So this one's a quieter R. So mirror, America, mirror in Australia. So this is the normal one, and this is our one here in Australia. So it just means the R is quieter. So Mary, in America, maybe Mary. Okay, so, and we have different words like cozies. New South Wales. Queensland, we say togs. Down here in Victoria, we say bathers. And you can check out there for more terminology. And that's what we did for our second culture lesson. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.